Hello everyone, welcome to Dungeon Jedi Masters Star Wars 5E Basics. I am Todd Moonbounce, here with another video to help you guys get up and running with your new character. Today we're going to talk about initiative, armor class, and hit points. Three features, elements of your character that feed into our topic from last video, the abilities, ability modifiers, and things like that. So we're going to touch on these, show you how those tie in, and how you determine each of these aspects of your character. So start with our initiative. Initiative is essentially how we determine the order of combat. So as you head into battle against a group of enemies, your DM will ask for an initiative roll. And this just tells the DM, what order each person in that combat is going to go. It is based off of the dexterity modifier. And dexterity, as you should remember, is a measure of your agility and reflexes. So you can say is how well, once the combat starts, are you able to react to that, and how quick are you to react versus somebody else. So generally, it's just the straight modifier. So at the max, you could get a +5 on that for your initiative. This can be modified to increase it. For example, the alert feat can give you a whole extra +5 to that initiative, getting you to a +10, which is could potentially be very advantageous. And in the scout class allows you to add your proficiency bonus to your initiative modifier as well. So that would change based on where your proficiency is, but a couple ways there that you can increase your initiative and just further get the jump on your enemies. You obviously want to try and get as high initiative as possible so that you can get out there and attack first and try and get ahead of those enemies. So next up, let's talk about armor class. Armor class is obviously how well you're going to resist attacks. It's protection from incoming attacks. So armor class is this is another element that is based on the dexterity modifier, either some or all of it, based on the armor type. So if you're a character and you're not wearing any armor, your armor class is 10 plus your dexterity modifier. So if your dexterity is a +2, your armor class is 12. So anytime someone attacks you, they have to get higher, 12 or higher, to actually have that hit. Light armor is going to have, all the armor is going to have a base number. And for light armor, you get to add your full dexterity modifier. So up to 5 if you have a +5 on your dexterity, and that could be pretty beneficial there. Some armor examples. Combat suit is a light armor example. It starts with a base of 11, and you can add your dexterity to that, so potentially up to 16. Medium armor. Medium armor has, again, another base number, but you can add your dexterity modifier to a maximum of 2. So, for example, you have weave armor, which is going to be a base score of 14. Add your dexterity modifier, maximum 2, so that's going to be at 16 there. So 16 is the max with that one. And lastly, our heavy armor. Heavy armor, you do not add in your dexterity bonus. The trade-off here potentially is that if you have a negative in your dexterity, there's no negative to that heavy armor. If you have a negative in light or medium, that would apply. So you would actually reduce your armor class when you're wearing armor. So keep that in mind. Lastly, for armor class, shields. Shields add a straight bonus to your AC. So you might have a light physical shield that's going to give you a +1 bonus straight up to your AC class, your armor class. All the way up to a heavy shield generator, another that's going to be +3, so +3 to that armor class on top. So remember with the armor class, it's basically 10 plus your dexterity with no armor, and then pay attention to what the base number is for the armor you're choosing to calculate that going forward. Lastly, let's talk about hit points. These are essentially your character's health. Determines how well they're going to, or how long they'll last on the battlefield. Hit points are connected with your constitution. So the initial aspect of the hit point is determined by your class hit die, which we'll touch on a little bit more later. Each class has a different dice that tells them how much hit points they can get. And then you add your constitution modifier to that to get your hit points. So looking at your hit points at level 1, when you go through your character creation process, you're going to take the maximum of your hit die and add your constitution modifier. Looking at the engineer, for example, their hit die is a D8. So the maximum of that is going to be 8. And let's say our constitution with this engineer is +2, the constitution modifier. So at level 1, we would have 10 hit points. Going forward, any level after that, there's multiple ways to do this. Generally, you roll the die and then add your constitution modifier. So roll that D8. Let's say we get a 4 on that. We're going to add a constitution modifier of 2, and that's going to give us 6 more hit points. Add those to our previous 10, we'd be at 16 total hit points at level 2. And then every level after that, 3, 4, etc., you roll the dice again, add your constitution modifier. Now, if you're to regain hit points, so if you take damage in battle and whatnot, you can regain the hit points in between a long rest by rolling your hit die and adding your constitution modifier. So if you're doing a short rest and you just need to get some health back, you can roll that hit die, add your con modifier, and get a little bit back. Of course, over a long rest, all of your health does restore. Lastly, with hit points, if your constitution modifier changes, your maximum hit points change as well. So if your constitution modifier goes up by 1, for every level that you currently are, you gain 1 point. For example, if you're at level 5 and your constitution modifier goes up by 1, you would gain 5 hit points to your maximum total. So if there's your level 4 bonus or something else down the road, an item gives you a bonus there, make sure you factor that in to your total hit points. So that's a quick rundown on these 3 additional aspects of building your character: initiative, armor class, and hit points. We hope that helps explain a little bit of what those are and how you determine those when you're building out your character. We'll go even further in depth of some of those things down the road in future videos, so be sure to stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. Check out DungeonJediMasters.com for all of our other content, our weekly podcasts. Check us out on Twitter and give us feedback or suggestions on future content. If you'd like to watch live streams of actual play, check us out on Twitch. And lastly, if you appreciate the content we put out, consider supporting us via our Patreon. There are some Patreon exclusive content that we do put out there. So again, we appreciate everyone checking us out, and may the Force be with you.